Don't scroll away because today, you're going to find out one of the most powerful stories ever told. The story of Moses. A remarkable tale filled with courage, miracles, and the unwavering power of faith. I promise, by the end of this video, you'll look at faith and leadership in an entirely different light. So let's dive in. Thousands of years ago, the Israelites lived in Egypt. What started as a prosperous time turned grim as a new pharaoh rose to power. Unlike his predecessors, this pharaoh did not know of Joseph and chose to see the Israelites' growing population as a threat to his reign. In fear, he subjected them to brutal slavery. But Pharaoh's oppression didn't stop there. He decreed that every newborn Hebrew boy be thrown into the Nile River, attempting to erase an entire generation. Amram and Jochebed, an Israelite couple, refused to abide by Pharaoh's cruel decree. When Jochebed gave birth to a baby boy, she was overcome by both joy and fear. How could she keep her son safe in a kingdom bent on destroying his life? For 3 months, she hid him in a tiny corner of their humble home until she could no longer. It must have been heart-wrenching to get there, but then came her bold decision, an act of faith that defied logic. Jochebed crafted a basket of papyrus, lined it with pitch, and gently placed her baby into this makeshift ark. She set the basket afloat on the Nile River, praying fervently to God. And then she sent her daughter, Miriam, to keep watch. Imagine a mother's anguish, trusting her precious child to the waters, but also trusting God's greater plan. The basket drifted downstream, carried gently by the current, until it reached the Pharaoh's palace. Here's where things take an incredible turn. Pharaoh's daughter was bathing near the river when she spotted the basket. Upon opening it, she saw the infant, and her heart melted. "This must be one of the Hebrew babies," she said. Despite being the daughter of the man declaring death upon newborn boys, she decided to adopt him. Miriam, watching from afar, made her move. She approached and suggested that Pharaoh's daughter hire a Hebrew woman to nurse the child. Who do you think she recommended? None other than Moses' own mother, Jochebed. Through an act of divine providence, Jochebed was able to cradle her son again, now under the protection of Pharaoh's very household. The baby was named Moses, meaning drawn out of water. Years later, Moses grew up in the Pharaoh's palace, educated in the ways of the Egyptians yet unsettled in his spirit. His identity as a Hebrew began to tug on his soul. One day, he witnessed an Egyptian taskmaster savagely beating an Israelite slave. Unable to contain his anger, Moses killed the Egyptian and buried his body in the sand. But word of his deed spread, and Moses fled Egypt, leaving behind the life he had known. In the distant land of Midian, Moses sought refuge. He became a shepherd, marrying Zipporah, the daughter of a local Midianite priest, and settling into a quieter life. Yet, while Moses busied himself with shepherding, God had bigger plans for him. One day, in the solitude of the wilderness, Moses encountered something extraordinary. A bush that appeared to burn with fire but was not consumed. As he approached the bush, a voice called out, "Moses! Moses!" Startled, Moses responded, "Here I am." God then told Moses to remove his sandals, for the ground he stood on was holy. What followed was nothing short of destiny. God revealed himself as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and declared that he had seen the suffering of his people in Egypt. He had chosen Moses to lead the Israelites to freedom. Think about Moses' reaction. He hesitated. He doubted. "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh?" he asked. Even when God gave him miraculous signs, a staff turning into a serpent, a hand turning leprous and then restored, Moses still felt inadequate. "I am slow in speech and tongue," he said. But God reassured him, "I will be with you." And to aid his mission, God appointed Aaron, Moses' brother, as a spokesperson. Armed with truth, courage, and God's promise, Moses confronted Pharaoh. Over and over he demanded, "Let my people go." But Pharaoh's heart was hardened. This led to a series of devastating plagues, the Nile River turning to blood, infestations of frogs, gnats, and flies, the death of livestock, painful boils, hailstorms, locusts, darkness, and finally, the most harrowing of all, the death of Egypt's firstborn. It was only after this final plague, when Pharaoh lost his own firstborn son, that he relented. Families of the Israelites marked their doorposts with lamb's blood, so the angel of death would pass over their homes. This moment was the institution of the first Passover, a foundational part of both Jewish and Christian faith. But Pharaoh's remorse didn't last. As the Israelites fled Egypt in the middle of the night, he changed his mind and pursued them with his army. Trapped between the advancing Egyptians and the seemingly impassable Red Sea, the Israelites panicked. But Moses, steady in faith, declared, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm and see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today." By God's command, Moses stretched out his staff, and the waters of the Red Sea parted, creating a dry path for the Israelites to walk through. Think about it. A wall of water on either side and freedom straight ahead. As the last of the Israelites crossed, the waters surged back, destroying Pharaoh's army. God's deliverance was undeniable. The journey to the Promised Land wasn't easy. The Israelites often grumbled, doubted, and disobeyed. Yet, God provided manna from heaven, water from a rock, and guidance through a pillar of cloud by day and fire by night. At Mount Sinai, Moses ascended to commune with God and returned with the 10 Commandments, a divine moral code. So why is Moses' story so important? Moses wasn't perfect. He doubted, he feared, and he stumbled. Yet God used him to fulfill extraordinary purposes. Moses' life demonstrates that God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. His story reminds us of God's power to deliver, his faithfulness to his promises, and his ability to work through imperfect people to achieve his perfect plan. Reflect on the courage it took for Jochebed to trust God with her son. Reflect on Moses' transformation from a self-doubting shepherd to a leader who stood face to face against Pharaoh. Reflect on God's faithfulness every step of the way, from protecting Moses as a baby to delivering an entire nation. If you're facing challenges or feeling overwhelmed, the story of Moses is a powerful reminder to trust God, even when the odds seem insurmountable. After all, the same God who parted the Red Sea for the Israelites is ready to work wonders in your life too. You just need faith, and maybe a little courage. So what do you think? Is there a situation in your life where you need to take a step of faith like Moses? Let's start a conversation in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible Bible stories. Until next time, keep the faith. This has been another episode from our series on the Bible. Make sure you stay tuned for more.